What's up, Average Dad fans? Welcome back to another video, and yes, it's another video on the Vivo X Fold 3, but this is what you've been waiting for and asking for in the comment section of yesterday's videos. The next 5 or 6 minutes is all about the phone, the design and the software. Yes, I'm going to talk through a bit of the multitasking, show you how it works, show you the design, the back, the front, the inner display. Every single millimeter of this device I will show you because that's what you want to see. So you don't have to see my face again for the next 5 or so minutes. Let's go. Now, software-wise, I want to start with the basics. Every Android phone on the planet has Android widgets. But with the OriginOS skin, which I put as number 2 in terms of software skins, you get kits. And these kits are super handy. Now, bearing in mind, these are not Android widgets, they're dedicated purely to Vivo devices. 3 kits, in fact, 4 kits I probably used, but we'll say 3 because the weather one, it's kind of available everywhere and it's not really something I use too much. But the other 3, the voice recorder. Having a simple tap to record feature on the home screen for me is now vital. When I get ideas for videos or when I read up an article on a new phone coming or a phone I have, I simply record a voice note, save it all in my Average Dad folder, and when I come to creating the video, the voice notes are saved. It's just been super handy. And yes, most phones, if not all phones, have a voice recorder app. But the fact that this kit is just on the home screen or on a page I decide to put it on, one button, record, love it. The next kit that I use more often than not is the internal music kit. Yes, Spotify, I listen to Joe Rogan all the time. It's my number 1 podcast. Gym, before bed, any time of the day, to be honest, I'll probably pop a Joe Rogan podcast on. And the native music app can control Spotify, and I can have it on any page I want. It runs in the background. It shows you the album cover as well for music. It shows you the Joe Rogan logo. It's just, again, super convenient to have, and I use it daily. And then the final kit is not something I actually use too often, but I just love this about particularly Chinese ROM devices with the IR blaster. I had a question saying, does it have an IR blaster? Yes, the IR blaster is on board. And internally, one of the kits is exactly that. You can control basically any appliance, and I mean that literally when you see the list here, anything. For me, I control my TV. And again, no matter what brand of TV you have, I can guarantee that this will work. I've got an LG, I picked the LG, and I can now control my TV, volume, output, turn it on and off. It's, yeah, super handy right on the home screen. Now, before I talk about multitasking, I am just going to give you a minute or so of B-roll showing the phone in all its glory, while keeping in mind this is 10.2 millimeters, 1 centimeter thick, for an 8-inch inner screen, a 6.5-inch outer, 5,500 milliamp hour battery, all that internal gubbins you need to power a phone. Absolutely fantastic, and all at 220 grams, as light as any flagship candy bar phone, if not lighter. Now, while you're watching this, just to clarify, the case included in the box has a vegan leather textured feel. The white variant of the phone itself is smooth to the touch. almost with a marble effect. I think the white looks stunning. I had a couple of people say they don't like it in white, but hey, the benefit for you is you can choose a different colour. I chose white. Another comment I get is about the camera not being quite centered on the rear. I guess that does mess with some people's OCD, but I'm okay with it. I do like the round camera bump. Nothing too protruding either. It doesn't stick out too much. Again, I just overall love the look of this phone, particularly in the white with the silver accents around the frame. Now, multitasking wise, folks, I am going to be incredibly honest. I mentioned yesterday that I wish there were more YouTube videos in English that I could learn from. I am no expert with every single phone that comes through. And with multitasking on the Vivo, it was fairly self-explanatory to work out how to split two apps. It's then self-explanatory how to make a floating window. But when you've got two apps open and then trying to open two floating windows, which this phone apparently can do, I, for the life of me, could not figure out how. So I'm going to have to show that part in a future video once I can finally figure it out. But what I did want to highlight with the multitasking right now, because people are asking, and it's not a silly question, I've seen somebody reply to this comment. Essentially, someone asked if you could split the screen horizontally. Yes, you can. And the reason it's not a silly question is because on some Chinese ROMs, in fact, quite a lot of Chinese ROMs, the option to split horizontally is not there. It's only vertically. Luckily though, the Vivo, straight out the box by default, you can have an app at the top, an app at the bottom, or two apps side by side. And when I figure out how to get the floating apps there as well, because you can have four apps open at the same time, I will update you. Another question I got about my device in particular was about the RAM and storage. I didn't go for the base 12 gigabytes of RAM and 256 gigabytes of storage, which you can get for like £925. Mind blowing. I went for the upgraded 16 gigabytes of RAM and half terabyte of storage, which came in at, I think, £999. So about £1,020 including delivery. And the final thing I want to talk about some of the software is to do with the cameras. I mentioned that these cameras are not the most flagship, but what Vivo managed to get out of them. Don't get me wrong, the 50 megapixel sensors are great and the 2x optical looks great, but a lot of that is processing. What you can also do, and Ben's Gadget Reviews talks about this all the time, what you can also do is use Zeiss's different color profiles. He likes, I believe it's the vintage one you put on. There are so many to choose from. And like Apple's iPhone, they've got different styles. Vivo just do this better. The different styles you can choose from, the customization you can get from the camera app as a whole. And as I mentioned in a previous video, because it's a fold phone, you can use all of the rear lenses for vlogging, selfies, however you want to use them, while still being able to see the viewfinder from the cover screen. Again, an underrated fact about foldable devices, and this phone in particular, it is super easy to do. So that was a quick run through of some of the software, some of the hardware. I hope that has appeased some of your eyes for the next day or so. I will be back with a full 48-hour review where I will talk more about the battery life and if the 120 watts charging is as quick as stated and if I've missed wireless charging. I'll talk about other things as well, don't worry. I promised I'll be here daily with updates on the Vivo X Fold 3. So if you're not already, smash subscribe, and if you haven't already, please like this video. I really appreciate the support. Yesterday's videos are doing amazing as far as metrics, but I want you to get something out of it. So please keep your questions coming in the comments below, and I will get to as many as I can in a dedicated video. Until next time,